With over 1,000 Pokemon, there's bound to be some fan favorites, but some people aren't too keen on the idea of them getting more attention than some other Pokemon. We all know exactly what I'm talking about. If I had a nickel for every time Charizard has gotten some special attention, I'd have a lot of nickels. I don't know how many, but it'd be a lot. And that isn't exactly the Pokemon's fault. They're just doing their job by existing. And since people adore them, that means they're doing a pretty damn good job. But people keep handing out the term overrated like it's a free sample at Costco. Obviously, if Game Freak sees how much their fans love a certain Pokemon, they're gonna keep giving it more and more attention. It'd be stupid not to. Oh, you guys like Charizard? Fuck you! We hate Charizard! God! If a lot of people adore a specific Pokemon, then it's doing a great job at being a Pokemon. They aren't overrated, they're just adored. I think the term overrated is only applicable when something that is complete garbage gets a lot more adoration than it deserves. And if you think Charizard is a garbage design, you're just stupid. Objectively, it isn't. That doesn't mean you have to like it. For example, I don't really like Marshtomp that much. I think it looks stupid. But I can definitely see why people love its design. It's a cool amphibian thingy, and I gotta give credit where credit is due. But I'm just in the minority. People love Marshtomp. Just because I don't think Marshtomp is great doesn't mean it's overrated. I keep referring to these quote-unquote overrated Pokemon, but who exactly does that consist of? I think that list consists of these Pokemon and maybe a few more that I'm forgetting. Those are Pikachu, Eevee, Charizard, Gengar, Mewtwo, Lucario, Greninja, and Mimikyu. Instead of referring to them as the overrated Pokemon, I'll be referring to them as the Golden Child Pokemon, because they're everything a Pokemon should be. All of these Pokemon have amazing designs, and as a result, the fanbase loves them, which caused Game Freak to give them even more of a spotlight, thus making them even more popular. It's a positive feedback loop, and you don't have to like it, but that's just how it works. I mean, realistically, why would they choose your favorite Pokemon over the masses? What makes Ambipom better than Eevee? Seriously, does anyone even like this thing? Sure, they've given random Pokemon attention plenty of times, but it's like a 1 in 1,000 chance now. The safest option they can go with is one of the Golden Child Pokemon. Don't get me wrong though, I love when they give attention to less popular Pokemon like Exeggutor or Tauros, or more recently, Polteageist and Duraludon. There's so much they can do to make these Pokemon more popular and beloved by fans. Of course though, they're always gonna fall back on the Golden Children when they're unsure of what to do. It's just a safe option. Just because something is popular doesn't mean it's bad. Going in with that mentality, the only one you're really hurting is yourself, you emo. If your argument is that the people who like it are sheeps, you're just a sheep of the opposite herd. We're all sheeps. Bah. Bah! The Golden Child Pokemon are Pokemon that not only fans can recognize, but also people who aren't fans of the series. If you ask a random person on the street who Charizard is, it's like a 50-50 shot that they'll know who it is, or at least recognize that it's a Pokemon. Take this for instance. A lot of you probably aren't Digimon fans, but I'm sure at least half of you know that this is Agumon. It's basically the same thing. They aren't just a Pokemon, they're part of Pokemon's identity. Very briefly, I want to go over each of the Golden Child Pokemon designs to give a basic rundown of how much attention they've gotten and what makes them so great. Pikachu is the literal mascot of Pokemon, so out of all the Golden Children, this one shines the brightest. It has a very cute design, but can also be cool at times. It's extremely recognizable. You can ask anyone on the street and it's like a 95% chance they'll recognize Pikachu. If I were to count every time Pikachu has been shown some love, I'd still be counting, and I can't count that high, so let's not do that. He's appeared on everything. Happy Meals, pillows, a pool floaty, ceiling fans probably. He showed up at my funeral, and it hasn't even happened yet. The more notable stuff, of course, is being the mascot of the Pokemon series, having the spotlight in the anime, having a variant of Pikachu that cosplays, it getting its own game twice, it getting its very own Z-move along with Gigantamax form. The list goes on. I think this is justified because having a mascot is obvious. I think Pikachu is allowed to have this much attention because, well, it's the mascot, and if you want your series to succeed, you kind of need a mascot. And I think Pikachu's the perfect choice. Eevee is one of the most popular Pokemon ever. It has 8 different evolutions, which only makes its appeal even wider. It's also just incredibly adorable. I don't see how anyone could hate Eevee. It doesn't get as much attention as Pikachu, but it's often paired with it for being a really cute Generation 1 Pokemon. The most obvious way they give it attention is by giving it more and more evolutions. It's also seen very often in merchandise and later got its own game with Let's Go Eevee. And soon after, it even got its own Gigantamax form, along with receiving its very own Z-move. Multiple characters in the anime have owned an Eevee like May, Serena, Gary, Gladion, and Chloe. Even now in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Penny's whole team is based around Eevee and its evolutions. While it isn't as recognizable as Pikachu, it's still a fan favorite for a lot of good reasons, so I think it's pretty justified. Charizard is so iconic. It's honestly a really solid contender for a secondary mascot. Much like Pikachu, almost everyone knows who Charizard is. Though its design may be a little simple, I think it does an amazing job and looks cool. But Game Freak has been making it overstay its welcome. A lot. Go away. It honestly might be getting more attention than Pikachu in that regard. Not only did it get one Mega Evolution, it got two. It even has a Gigantamax form and has appeared multiple times in the anime. It's also on a ton of merchandise. You'll have trouble not seeing Charizard in a store. It's loved by many people though. Even if half of it is because of nostalgia, I still think the appreciation is warranted. Gengar is an occult classic. While not as popular as the previous three, it's still extremely recognizable and people love it a ton. Ash even got one in Journeys, which was long overdue. While it doesn't have the cute factor Pikachu and Eevee has, it does follow in Charizard's footsteps and looking really cool. It also got its own Mega form, a Gigantamax form, and that's about it really. But you do see a lot of it in merchandise, like this Squishmallow. Its design is the most basic one out of the Goldenmon, but I think it's creative enough to consider it to not be overrated. I mean, I've seen way worse designs. This is just straight up robbery. The original legendary, Mewtwo. It's so iconic. When you think legendary, you think Mewtwo. It's appeared in multiple movies. Like, it had no reason being in the Genesect one, but they did it anyway because haha, funny Mega Evolution. Just like Charizard, it not only has one Mega Evolution, but Mew. Kill me. If you have any doubts about it being popular, it appeared in Smash Bros. Before Charizard, and well, Jigglypuff appeared before both of them, so that logic is sort of flawed, but still. Though, Game Freak does try to shove Mewtwo down our throats a little too much. Recently, they had a whole Pokemon Direct teased with purple neon colors, and some people thought it might have been something actually cool, but it turned out to just be for Scarlet and Violet Mewtwo raids. Game Freak expects us to lose our mind anytime Mewtwo is mentioned. What the fuck? Mewtwo? No way! Holy shit! Like, don't get me wrong, it's a cool Pokemon, but come on. Lucario is a really cool Pokemon. It's received its own movie, got its very own Mega Evolution, and has been seen multiple times in the anime. And just like Gengar, Ash got a Mewtwo on his team. And this attention isn't just one-sided either, like with Mewtwo. The fans love Lucario, like, a little too much. Apparently, it's the #1 Pokemon on Rule 34, which is sort of surprising when you remember what the Pokemon community did to Gardevoir, Lopunny, and Vaporeon. I don't know if this still holds true, but I'm not gonna Google it to find out. Lucario is the only arthritis, the only furry Pokemon that's humanoid on this list, so that gives it a huge boost in popularity. Regardless, furry or not, I think we can all agree that Lucario is awesome. Please don't do anything to the life-size Lucario plush. You knew it would be here. We all saw it coming. Greninja, winner of the most popular Pokemon award, beating heavy hitters like Charizard, Lucario, and Pikachu. Do you understand how hard it is to beat Pikachu? Not that hard, I beat him with a bat. People love Greninja to death, but others think it's the pinnacle of overrated. With it being a cool starter Pokemon, that was already bound to make it popular, and it has a really cool design, so that's just bonus points. And it became one of Ash's most iconic Pokemon, which just gave it that little extra push it needed to overthrow the competition. I mean, it even got its own Ash Greninja form. No other Pokemon has that, unless you want to count Floette, but who cares about Floette? I sure as hell wouldn't send off a nuke for it. I can see why some people wouldn't like Greninja, but I don't think that makes it overrated. I think you're just in the minority of people who hate cool things. And that's okay. There's a funny little corner of shame for you over there. Just kidding. Obviously, we have no place for you in this society. About half of these Pokemon I just mentioned appear as playable fighters in Smash Bros., which just solidifies them even more as being iconic. Even your average Joe knows who Greninja is. Well, as long as they play Smash Bros., and most average Joes do. So, you know. Mimikyu wasn't originally on this list, but I decided to include it because of how much people love it. There is so much Mimikyu merch, it's kinda scary. I once saw a kid in a bag and thought they were cosplaying Mimikyu. Turns out they were being kidnapped. But that's not my problem. I got things to do. Don't act like you wouldn't do the same. So do I think these Pokemon are overrated? Not at all. Overrated implies that these Pokemon don't deserve as much attention as they're getting, and I don't think that's the case. I think they just succeed at their job. They're pretty damn good Pokemon. So if those Pokemon aren't overrated, which ones are? I feel like a good example of a Pokemon that's actually overrated is Meowth. This doesn't mean I hate Meowth. The opposite, actually. I love Meowth. But I think we can all agree that it does not deserve as much attention as it's been getting. Why is there so many Meowth variants? It even has a Gigantamax form. The only reason it's been getting this much attention is because of the anime. Without it, people would just brush it off as another cat Pokemon. Its design doesn't stand out, like at all. There's nothing really too special about it, and it doesn't have a cute or cool design, really. Dedenne is extremely overrated, and at first you may be really confused. Who in their right mind likes Dedenne that much? Apparently Japan. They held a poll over there for their most favorite Pokemon, and Dedenne won with 68,398 votes, beating Chinchino, who had 54,000. Look, I don't know why Chinchino was there either, but I'm not worried about that. I'm focused on Dedenne. Unlike Meowth, who I actually like, I hate Dedenne. It looks stupid and it's just a dumb Pika punching bag rehash. There's so many better Pikachu clones like Emolga, Pachirisu, literally any other one. So I'll never understand how or why Dedenne won. But I 100% think they qualify as overrated. This wasn't just a one-off thing either. Dedenne is consistently high up in the rankings. It just sucks because there's so many better Pika clones. Morpeko and Pawmi are pretty good too. And Meryl, if that even counts. Way to go, Billip. Also, they look pretty normal for the most part. You have your Charizard, Sylveons, Haxorus, and Garchomps thrown in there. But why the fuck is Natu there? It looks so out of place among the greats. This had to have been some sort of inside joke in a different community, because there's no way it's in the top 100-ish. It's really hard to come up with some Pokemon that are actually overrated, since most of the discussions I see online just talk about the golden children, and you're more than welcome to not like any of the Pokemon I listed. Not everyone's gonna like everything. I encourage you all to form your own opinions. Tell me who's the real overrated Pokemon. Anyways, that's it for now. Subscribe, like the video, comment, follow my socials. Holy shit, this is not Denny's. Bye, everyone.